Touch him again, and I'll knock every one of your teeth out. The voice was tiny, but sharp enough to cut through the rain. 3 men turned, their boots splashing in the puddles as they looked toward the end of the alley. And what they saw made them laugh. A little girl. Maybe 6. Coat hanging off her shoulders, knees scraped, a small stone clutched tight in her fist. Her braids were messy, her cheeks red from the cold, but her eyes didn't flinch. The tallest man grinned. You lost, kid? The second smirked. Ain't no school out here. The biggest one chuckled, knife glinting under the streetlight. Go home, little janitor. Unless you wanna end up like him. He pointed at the man on the ground, a man in a torn suit, blood dripping from his lip, his briefcase split open beside him. He was older. Rich. The kind of man who'd never been this close to dirt before. Now he was cornered. And that tiny girl was the only thing standing between him and 3 men who wanted him gone. The wind howled through the narrow street. The girl didn't move. One of the men laughed again. You gonna throw that rock, little hero? Her grip tightened. No answer. Just silence. Then, a flick of her wrist. Something flew. Something snapped. The laughter stopped. One man staggered back, hand over his face. No one breathed. The rich man's eyes widened as he looked up at her, this child who had just changed everything with a single throw. And right there, in that cold, dark alley, something began that none of them would ever forget. Before we dive into this story, tell us where in the world you're watching from and what time it is right now. Someone near you might be watching too. And don't forget to subscribe to support and appreciate the work we do on this channel. Now, let me take you back to where it all began, the moment everything changed. Stay with us until the end of this story. Cashin Voss sat by the wide glass window at the top of his tower. The city stretched far below him, full of lights and noise. From this height, it looked calm, like a map made of gold. To everyone else, Cashin was a winner. A man who built the city with his own hands. The rich called him a genius. The poor called him something else. But tonight, he didn't feel like either. He stared at his reflection. The suit, the watch, the perfect posture, all of it looked empty. His eyes were tired. Too many deals, too many meetings, too many lies told in polite voices. He was good at building towers, but bad at sleeping. On the table sat a thick folder labeled Southside Clearance Project. It was his biggest deal yet. Old homes would be torn down, new towers would rise. His company would make millions. He opened the folder, flipping through photos of narrow streets, small shops, and tiny homes. People lived there. People he had never met and never planned to. To him, they were numbers. The board had already voted yes. All that was left was his signature. Cashin picked up his pen. He paused. For a moment, his hand shook, but only for a moment. Then he signed his name with a clean stroke. Applause filled the room. His board members clapped, smiling wide. Champagne bottles popped open. To the future, someone cheered. Cashin forced a smile and lifted his glass, but the taste of the drink felt sour. When the meeting ended and the others left, silence filled the room. Cashin walked to the window again. From here, the south side looked small. Just a dark patch on the edge of the glowing city. He told himself it was progress. That change always hurt. But deep down, he felt something he hadn't in years, guilt. He turned off the lights and stood alone in the dark office. The city lights glimmered below, but the south side looked different tonight. The darkness there wasn't dead, it was alive. Moving. Breathing. He rubbed his temples. Maybe he just needed air. Maybe he wanted to remember what the ground felt like. Against his usual routine, Cashin decided to go for a walk, alone. No guards, no car. Just him. His assistant saw him heading for the elevator. "Sir, where are you going?" "It's late." Cashin gave a small smile. "To see what I've built." The doors closed before she could say another word. The elevator hummed as it went down. Cashin's mind was loud. He thought about the first tower he ever built, back when he was still hungry and poor. He remembered sleeping in an unfinished building, dreaming of one day owning the skyline. He had made it. But he had lost something on the way. The doors opened to the lobby. The guard stood, surprised. "Mr. Voss, your driver's waiting." "I'll walk," Cashin said. "But, sir, it's not safe downtown at this hour." "I'll be fine." Outside, the wind was sharp. The streets were slick with rain. The towers looked taller from down here, their tops lost in fog. Cashin pulled his coat tighter and started walking. His shoes splashed through shallow puddles. The sound echoed off the empty street. He walked past closed stores and old brick walls covered in faded posters. Graffiti glowed under the streetlights, angry words, painted faces, messages of pain. He stopped at one. It showed a cracked heart surrounded by tiny houses. Under it were the words, "We were here too." Cashin stared at it for a long time. His chest felt heavy. This was the part of the city his plans would erase. The people who wrote those words would have to leave. He kept walking. Farther, deeper into streets that no longer looked like the city he ruled. Trash fires burned in metal barrels. Somewhere, someone laughed. Somewhere else, someone shouted. For the first time in years, Cashin felt small. Not rich. Not powerful. Just human. The air smelled of smoke and rain. He breathed it in like a man trying to remember something he'd forgotten. He turned down a narrow alley to cut through to the next street. The light was dim, flickering. He heard footsteps behind him, slow, scraping. He turned, but saw nothing. Just shadows. "Get a grip," he muttered and walked faster. The sound followed. Then came the whisper. "Rough. Too close. Nice coat, old man." Cashin froze. Three shapes moved out of the dark. One held a pipe, another a knife. The third just smiled. "Don't want trouble," Cashin said, lifting his hands. "Take my wallet." The one with the pipe laughed. "We don't want your money, rich boy. We want your respect." A hand grabbed his collar. A punch landed hard in his ribs. Cashin fell to one knee, gasping. The alley spun. His phone slipped from his pocket, hitting the ground. The glow of the screen lit the wet pavement. He tried to speak, but another blow cut him off. Blood filled his mouth. The men laughed, circling him. Somewhere above, rain began to fall again. Cold, steady, endless. Cashin Voss, the man who ruled the city, was on his knees in its darkest corner. And for the first time in his life, he had no one to call, no power to hide behind. Then, from the far end of the alley, a small voice broke through the sound of the rain. "Leave him alone," it said. The men turned. Cashin lifted his head, dazed, eyes struggling to focus. A little girl stood there, no taller than the trash can beside her, clutching something round and heavy in her hand. And in that single moment, everything began to change. The little girl's voice echoed through the alley. "Leave him alone." The men froze, turning toward the sound. Cashin squinted through the rain. A small figure stood at the far end of the alley, water dripping from her hair, holding something in her hand. It was a stone. The tallest man laughed. "What's this? A baby hero?" The girl didn't move. Her coat was too big for her, hanging past her knees. But her voice came again, steady, stronger this time. "Step away from him." Cashin tried to speak, his lips bleeding. "Go home," he rasped. She didn't. Instead, she took a step closer. The puddle rippled under her shoe. "Hey, kid," one of the men sneered. "You better turn around before you get hurt." The girl's fingers tightened around the stone. "No," she said. Then the stone flew. It cut through the rain like lightning and hit the man right in the temple. He stumbled, shouting. The others cursed and spun toward her. "You little brat." Before they could move, another stone hit. This time, it caught one in the jaw. The sound cracked through the air. Cashin's eyes widened. He couldn't believe what he was seeing, a child standing between him and three grown men, fearless. But fear started creeping into her face when the biggest man, the one with the knife, began walking toward her. "You just made a big mistake," he hissed. Cashin tried to stand but his leg gave out. "Don't touch her," he shouted, his voice breaking. The man ignored him, blade flashing under the light. The girl stepped back, but her heel slipped against the wet ground. The knife came closer. Then a voice thundered from behind. "Sky!" A man came running out of the shadows, tall, tired, soaked in rain. His jacket was torn, his eyes wild. He didn't hesitate. He grabbed a loose metal pipe leaning against the wall and swung with everything he had. The blow landed clean. The knife fell. The man hit the ground, groaning. The other two turned fast, ready to fight. The father stood between them and his daughter, breathing hard, pipe raised like a sword. Cashin watched, frozen. "Stay back," the father yelled. "You touch her, you deal with me." The thugs rushed. One swung, missed. The father hit back, the sound echoing like thunder. Another one grabbed him from behind, but the girl, Sky, threw another stone, hard. It smacked the man's shoulder. "Run, baby," he shouted. "I'm not leaving you." Sirens wailed in the distance, faint, but getting closer. The men cursed. The one on the ground grabbed his knife, but when he looked up, red and blue lights flickered at the far end of the street. "Cops," someone shouted. In seconds, the gang scattered, slipping into the dark, their footsteps fading into rain. Silence fell. Only the sound of sirens growing nearer. The father dropped the pipe, his hands shaking. "Sky," his voice cracked. "What were you thinking?" She ran to him and hugged his waist. "You taught me to be brave," she said softly. Cashin leaned against the wall, blood still dripping down his face. His chest burned, but his heart felt something strange, something alive. He looked at them, this man and his daughter, standing in the same rain that had nearly ended him. He tried to speak. "Thank you," but his voice broke halfway. The father turned, startled. "You okay, sir?" Cashin nodded weakly. "You saved my life." "I didn't," the father said, glancing at his daughter. "She did." Sky smiled shyly, water running down her cheeks. The sirens grew louder. Red and blue lights painted the walls. Cashin tried to stand again, and the man hurried over, grabbing his arm. "Easy there," he said. "You're hurt bad." Cashin looked at him through the haze. "Who are you?" "Eli Mercer," the man said. "I clean your building." Cashin blinked, trying to process that. The man who saved him mopped his floors. The girl who threw the stones waited for him in the janitor's closet. A laugh escaped him, a weak, painful laugh that sounded like disbelief. "Life's funny, huh?" Eli said. Cashin nodded faintly. "Yeah, it is." The police arrived, shouting questions, shining flashlights down the alley. Paramedics rushed toward Cashin, lifting him onto a stretcher. Eli stood beside Sky, holding her close as they watched him go. Before the ambulance doors closed, Cashin's hand reached out. His voice was low but clear. "What's her name?" "Sky," Eli said. Cashin smiled weakly. "She's the reason I'm still breathing." The doors shut. If this story is giving you chills, smash that subscribe button right now. Comment below where you're watching from. Someone near you might be following this same journey. Let's build a community of people who believe in second chances. The siren wailed as the ambulance pulled away, lights flashing across the wet brick walls. Sky watched until it disappeared. Then she looked up at her father. "Will he be okay?" Eli exhaled. "I hope so." They started walking home, quiet except for the rain. But neither noticed the small trail of blood on the ground, or the shape moving in the shadows behind the dumpster. A hand reached out. It was one of the thugs. His eyes glared after them, hate burning brighter than pain. He whispered, "This isn't over." And the storm began again. The siren's echo still rang in Cashin's ears. He sat on the hospital bed, stiff and sore, the smell of antiseptic thick in the air. His lip was split, ribs bruised, pride shattered. For a man who once looked down on the world from glass towers, he now felt small, just another name on a clipboard. He stared at the 4-drip beside him, lost in thought. The nurse came in, checked his vitals, and left without a word. Cashin didn't blame her. He wasn't used to being ignored, but tonight, he deserved it. The image of the alley wouldn't leave his mind. The little girl. The stones. The father's eyes when he said, "I clean your building." Cashin exhaled, slow and shaky. "How far can a man rise before he forgets where he came from?" he murmured. The doctor entered, clipboard in hand. "Mr. Voss, you're lucky. No broken bones, but you'll need rest." Cashin nodded. "When can I leave?" "Tomorrow morning, if nothing changes." The door closed, leaving him with silence again. The rain tapped against the window, steady and calm, mocking the storm still inside him. He reached for his phone on the bedside table. Dozens of missed calls. His assistant, his driver, news reporters. The story had already leaked, billionaire attacked in alley. Headlines flashing, questions flying. But the truth felt too strange to tell. He clicked his phone off and closed his eyes. He didn't need news. He needed answers. Across town, Eli Mercer sat at their tiny kitchen table, Sky asleep in his arms. He hadn't let her out of his sight since the attack. Her hair was still damp from the rain. The stone she had thrown sat on the counter, dull under the kitchen light. Eli stared at it like it was something holy. "You scared me to death tonight," he whispered. "But you saved a man's life." He brushed a strand of hair from her face. She stirred but didn't wake. He looked out the cracked window at the city skyline. One of those towers belonged to Cashin Voss. The same man whose name was printed on his work badge. The man who never looked down. Until tonight. A knock came at the door. Sharp. Fast. Eli tensed. He wasn't expecting anyone. He stood, careful not to wake Sky, and opened the door a few inches. A police officer stood there, rain dripping from his hat. "Mr. Mercer?" "Yes, officer." "I'm here on behalf of Mr. Cashin Voss," the man said. "He asked for your contact information. He said you and your daughter saved his life." Eli blinked. He remembered. The officer smiled faintly. Hard to forget something like that. He handed Eli a card. "Expect a call." When Eli looked back down at Sky, she was awake, smiling sleepily. "Was that the police?" He nodded. "Yeah. Go back to sleep, champ. She closed her eyes again, hugging him tighter. Daddy, she mumbled. The rich man looked scared. Eli swallowed hard. He's human, baby. Just like us. Back at the hospital, Cashin couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Sky's face in the rain, small, fierce, fearless. He'd faced business wars, political threats, corporate betrayals. None of them had shaken him like that child's defiance. He sat up, grabbing his phone again. Find out who they are, he told his assistant over the line. The people from the alley, she asked. Yes. The man and his daughter. Quietly. He hung up and looked out the window. The skyline glowed faintly under the night clouds. His empire, standing tall while its foundation cracked beneath. For the first time in years, Cashin wondered if he'd been building the wrong things. The next morning, reporters gathered outside the hospital gates. Cameras flashed the moment he stepped into the car. Mr. Voss, can you confirm it was a mugging? Who saved you? Was it gang-related? He ignored them all, staring out the window as the car moved through the rain. His driver glanced back. Home, sir. Cashin shook his head. No. Take me to Southside. The driver hesitated. Sir, that's not. Now. The car turned, leaving behind the polished roads and streetlights. Soon, the buildings grew older, the streets narrower, the glow fading. Cashin watched the city change through the window, the clean lines replaced by cracked walls and rusted signs. He remembered this place. He used to walk these streets before he became who he was. Back when he had nothing but ideas and hunger. He told the driver to stop at the alley. The same one where it all happened. The rain had washed most of the blood away, but faint stains still marked the ground. Cashin stepped out, ignoring the driver's protests. The air was cold. He stood where he had fallen. Looked around. Silence. Just the sound of a dripping pipe. He closed his eyes, seeing it all again, the flash of the knife, the stones flying, the fear, the courage. He knelt and picked up a small piece of broken stone. It shimmered faintly in the morning light, like it remembered the moment it changed everything. Cashin pocketed it. He didn't know why, but something deep in his chest told him this wasn't over. As he turned back toward the car, he saw movement from the corner of his eye, a figure at the far end of the alley. He squinted. A man in a dark coat, watching him. Cashin froze. The man didn't move. Didn't speak. Just stood there, hands in pockets, rain dripping from his hood. Then, slowly, he raised his hand, and pointed straight at Cashin. Cashin's heart skipped. The man smiled, a cold, thin smile, and stepped back into the dark. Cashin rushed forward, but by the time he reached the end of the alley, the man was gone. Only the echo of his voice floated in the air, quiet but clear. You should have stayed in your tower, Voss. The rain poured harder. And Cashin finally understood, what happened in that alley wasn't just an attack. It was the beginning of something much bigger. Cashin couldn't shake the words. You should have stayed in your tower. They kept looping in his head like a broken tape as the car rolled through the city. He sat in silence, watching raindrops race down the window. The driver said nothing. The tension inside the car was thick, like the storm outside had followed them in. When they reached Voss Meridian Tower, Cashin stepped out without a word. His guards moved toward him, but he waved them off. He didn't want people around him, not tonight. He took the elevator to the top floor. The doors opened to a spotless hallway that smelled of lemon polish and glass cleaner. Everything gleamed, perfect, empty. But all Cashin could see was that alley. The blood. The little girl with the stone. He walked into his office. The lights flicked on automatically, but he left them dim. He didn't want brightness, he wanted truth. He poured himself a drink, hand trembling slightly. The city glittered below, but it no longer looked beautiful. It looked hungry. The skyline he built now felt like a cage. His phone buzzed. It was his assistant. "Sir, I found them. The janitor's name is Eli Mercer. His daughter, Sky. They live in Southside Apartments, Building 32. Cashin nodded. "Good. Thank you." He hesitated. "Send them something, food, clothes." Quietly. "Yes, sir." He hung up and stared at the glass in his hand. He wanted to thank them in person, but another part of him whispered caution. The man in the alley, the voice, he hadn't imagined it. Someone was still watching. He set the glass down and leaned against the window. Lightning flashed across the city, bright and sharp. Behind him, the elevator dinged. Cashin frowned. No one should be coming up. Not this late. "Who's there?" he called. No answer. He turned toward the sound. The elevator doors stayed open. Empty. The lights inside flickered. He walked closer, slow, cautious. The air felt heavy, too still. Then the lights went out. The tower went dark. Cashin froze. His phone's screen lit up in his pocket, flashing a warning: security breach, top floor. A sound came from the far side of the hall. Metal scraping against tile. Cashin backed away. His heart pounded hard. Hello? Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Getting closer. He reached for his desk phone, but the line was dead. He grabbed his phone instead and hit the security contact. No signal. Damn it. Then he saw it, the red dot of a laser sight moving across the wall. Cashin dropped behind his desk just as glass shattered. A gunshot cracked through the silence. The bullet tore through his office chair. "Mr. Voss," a voice called from the dark. Calm, cruel. "Did you really think a few donations would fix what you've done?" Cashin's breath came fast. He couldn't see the shooter. The only light came from the storm outside, flashing through the windows. Another shot. The glass above him exploded. He crawled behind the desk, trying to think. He had no weapon, no way out. The only exit was the elevator, and it was on the other side of the room. The voice came again, closer now. "You build towers on graves, and now you want mercy? Tell me, Voss, how much is your soul worth per square foot?" Cashin stayed silent. He spotted a metal pen holder on his desk, grabbed it, and threw it toward the sound. A shot followed instantly, hitting the wall. "Missed," Cashin muttered under his breath. Then another flash of lightning revealed the shooter, a man in black, face covered, standing near the door. He held a silenced pistol, calm as stone. Cashin didn't think. He ran. The gun fired again. The bullet grazed his arm. Pain flared, but he kept moving. He dove behind a marble column near the window. The shooter's voice echoed. "You should have stayed in your tower." Cashin shouted back, "I did. You brought the storm here." The man laughed quietly. "No, Mr. Voss. You built it." The elevator lights flickered again. Cashin peeked from behind the column, no chance. The man was too close. Then, another sound. The stairwell door burst open. Security guards rushed in, guns raised. "Drop your weapon," one yelled. The shooter turned and fired twice. One guard fell. The other ducked, returning fire. The room filled with flashes and smoke. Cashin crawled to the elevator, slamming the button again and again. The doors opened. He threw himself inside, hitting the lobby button with shaking fingers. The doors started to close, then jammed halfway. Cashin looked up. The shooter was running toward him, fast. The guards fired again. The man stumbled, hit in the shoulder, but didn't stop. He raised his gun, aiming straight at Cashin. Cashin hit the emergency close button. The doors finally slid shut just as a bullet hit the metal, leaving a deep dent inches from his face. The elevator dropped fast. Cashin's pulse thundered. When the doors opened again, he ran into the lobby. His driver was waiting, panic in his eyes. "Sir, what happened?" Cashin didn't answer. "Get in the car. Now." They sped out into the night, tires hissing on the wet road. Cashin looked back at the tower, its top floors still dark. Someone wanted him gone. Someone from the past. His phone buzzed again, a blocked number. He hesitated, then answered. A voice whispered, the same calm tone from before. "You escaped tonight, Mr. Voss. But remember, your savior can't save you twice." Cashin froze. "Who are you?" The line went dead. Thunder rolled across the sky. And somewhere in the south side, a little girl woke from her sleep, her small hand glowing faintly blue where she had once held that stone. Sky woke up before sunrise. The air was cold, and the city outside the window was still half asleep. She rubbed her eyes and sat up on the small couch beside her father's bed. Eli was snoring softly, his work shirt still on, the smell of bleach faint in the room. She slipped off the couch quietly and looked at the little stone on the table. It was smooth, gray, and ordinary, except it wasn't. When she picked it up, a faint blue light shimmered under her fingers, like a heartbeat. Her eyes widened. "Dad," she whispered. Eli stirred but didn't wake. She looked closer. The glow faded, but she could still feel something, warm, alive, like the stone was watching her. She tucked it into her coat pocket, unsure why. It just felt right. Outside, the sky was turning pink. The south side streets were already busy, workers heading out early, vendors setting up. The air smelled of rain and bread. Sky liked mornings like this. They felt new, like anything could happen. But today, something felt off. A black car was parked across the street. Its engine was off, but she could see two men inside. Dark suits. No smiles. She frowned and pulled the curtain shut. "Dad," she said louder this time. "Wake up." Eli groaned, rubbing his face. "Morning already?" "There's a car outside," she said. "Been there a while." He stood, stretching his sore arms. "Probably just security." "Security for what?" He didn't answer. He walked to the window and peeked out. His stomach dropped. "Those aren't cops." He stepped back and grabbed his phone. Cashin said he'd call, not send anyone. Sky tilted her head. "Mr. Voss?" He nodded. "The man from the alley. The one you saved." She smiled. "The rich one who fell down." Eli laughed quietly. "Yeah, that one." Then his smile faded. "But something's wrong. Stay close to me." A knock came at the door. Slow. Firm. Eli froze. "Who is it?" A voice answered, polite but cold. "Mr. Mercer? Mr. Voss sent us. He'd like a quick word." Eli's gut twisted. Something in the tone didn't sound right. "I wasn't told about this," he said. Silence. Then, another knock. Harder this time. Sky whispered, "Dad, I don't like this." "I know, baby." He looked around for something, anything. His eyes landed on the old broom by the sink. He grabbed it, holding it tight like a bat. Go to the bedroom, he whispered. No, she said. Not without you. The knocking stopped. The door handle turned slowly. Back up. Eli shouted. The door burst open. Two men in black suits stepped in, calm and fast. One of them held out a badge. Mr. Voss needs you both to come with us. Now. Eli's heart raced. He could have called me himself. The man's fake smile dropped. He's busy. Sky gripped her father's arm. The stone in her pocket started to pulse again, soft blue through the fabric. Eli noticed the light. Sky, what's that? Before she could answer, one of the men stepped forward. Let's not make this hard. Eli swung the broom. It cracked across the man's arm. The second man lunged, but Sky threw the nearest thing she could grab, a mug. It shattered against his chest. Run! Eli shouted. They bolted through the back door into the narrow hallway. The men shouted behind them. Eli pulled Sky down the stairs, feet pounding, hearts racing. The sound of boots followed. They burst out onto the street. Morning light hit their faces. Vendors looked up, startled. Taxi! Eli shouted, waving his arm. A yellow cab screeched to a stop. They jumped in. Drive. Where to? The driver asked. Eli looked around, panicked. Just go. The cab sped off. Sky turned, looking out the back window. The black car was following. Dad, she yelled. Eli looked back. The men were on their tail. He clenched his fists. They're not giving up. The driver frowned. Who are they? Doesn't matter, just lose them. The cab weaved through traffic, horns blaring. The men's car stayed close. Sky gripped her pocket. The stone glowed brighter, blue light filling the cab. Eli noticed, eyes wide. What's happening? I don't know, Sky said. It started when they came. The driver glanced in the mirror. Kid, your pocket's on fire. It's not fire, she said softly. It's trying to tell me something. The glow pulsed faster. The air in the cab vibrated faintly, a soft hum like electricity. Then, bang. The black car hit their rear bumper. The cab jolted sideways. Sky screamed. Hold on, the driver yelled, trying to steady the wheel. They swerved into an alley, tires screeching. The black car followed halfway before slamming into a dumpster. Eli looked back. We lost them. Not for long, the driver said. You two better disappear. Eli grabbed a few bills from his pocket. Thanks. He opened the door and pulled Sky out. Come on. They ran through the alley, water splashing under their shoes. Sky's hand was still glowing inside her pocket. Dad, she whispered, I think Mr. Voss is in danger. Eli stopped. What? I can feel it. The stone, it's showing me. He stared at her, confused but scared. Showing you what? She looked up at him, eyes glowing faintly blue now too. His tower. Something bad's happening there. Before Eli could respond, his phone buzzed in his pocket. An unknown number. He answered, out of breath. Hello? A weak voice came through, familiar, strained. Eli, it's Cashin Voss. Sir, what's happening? They're coming for you, Cashin said. Don't go home. Don't trust anyone. Whoever attacked me, they want you next. Eli froze. Why us? But before Cashin could answer, the line cut off. Static. Then silence. Eli looked at his phone, then at Sky. Her hand was still glowing, brighter than before. Dad, she whispered, voice trembling. It's showing me again. What do you see? Her eyes filled with fear. Fire. He grabbed her hand. Where? She looked up toward the sky. The tower. And far across the city, black smoke began to rise from the top of Voss Meridian Tower. This is getting intense. If you're on the edge of your seat, subscribe so you never miss a story like this. Comment SKYE if you think she's going to save him again. I'm reading every single one. Eli stared at the smoke climbing into the sky. His throat went dry. The fire looked like it was coming straight from the top of Voss Meridian Tower, the same place Cashin had called from. Dad, Sky whispered, he's still in there. Eli shook his head. No, he said to stay away. But he helped us, she said. We can't just do nothing. Eli looked at her, his daughter, holding a stone that pulsed faint blue against her coat. The light was faint but alive, matching the glow in her eyes. He wanted to protect her, not follow fire. But her words hit deep. We can't just do nothing. He sighed. All right, baby. We'll help. But you stay behind me. Always. They ran toward the subway, feet splashing through puddles, hearts pounding in rhythm. Sirens wailed in the distance. Fire trucks screamed through traffic, heading for the tower. When they reached the station, the place was chaos, crowds of people rushing, smoke drifting even down here. The train operator shouted, tracks to Meridian are closed. Eli gritted his teeth. Then we walk. They ran up the stairs again, through the streets, pushing past frightened workers and tourists filming the burning tower. By the time they reached it, the scene was madness. Flames licked at the high glass windows. Black smoke poured out in heavy waves. Firefighters aimed hoses, shouting orders. Reporters screamed questions. Sky grabbed her dad's sleeve. He's in there, she said again, sure this time. Eli turned to a firefighter. Cashin Voss, did he get out? The man shook his head. No one's seen him. Top floors are still sealed. Eli looked up at the tower. He had cleaned every inch of this building for years. He knew its back doors, its vents, its emergency shafts. He could find a way up, if he was fast. He turned to Sky. Stay here. She crossed her arms. Not a chance. Sky. She pulled out the stone. It glowed stronger now, light pulsing like a warning. It's telling me where to go. Eli didn't understand, but he believed her. Then you lead, he said. They slipped through the side entrance while everyone's eyes were on the fire. Inside, alarms blared. The air was thick with smoke and heat. The marble floors were slick under their feet. Stay low, Eli said, covering Sky's mouth with his sleeve. They moved fast through the maintenance hallways. Sparks fell from the ceiling. Somewhere above, glass shattered. Sky pointed toward the service stairs. That way. They climbed, step after step, the air getting hotter, heavier. Eli's lungs burned. Sky coughed but didn't stop. At the 28th floor landing, they heard a crash above them. A chunk of ceiling collapsed, flames rushing down. Eli grabbed her and pulled her back just in time. They fell hard against the wall. Smoke filled the stairwell. Are you okay? He asked, coughing. Sky nodded weakly. The stone in her hand glowed brighter, cutting through the smoke. She held it up like a flashlight. The light formed a faint trail on the wall, as if showing them where to go. Follow it, she said. They took another stairwell, narrower, metal steps clanging under their feet. Eli's mind raced. Cashin's office is on 45, he muttered. We're close. At the 40th floor, they burst through the door into a hallway filled with smoke and broken glass. The sprinklers hissed, spitting water uselessly. "Mr. Voss!" Eli shouted. "Can you hear me?" No answer. Only the roar of fire. They moved deeper, passing overturned desks and flickering screens. The city outside was just a blur through the smoke. Then Sky froze. There. Through the haze, they saw him, Cassian Voss, half-conscious, slumped near a fallen beam. Blood ran down his forehead. His phone lay cracked beside him. Eli ran over and grabbed his shoulder. "Sir! Can you hear me?" Cassian's eyes fluttered open. What are you doing here?" "Saving your stubborn self," Eli said, grunting as he tried to lift the beam. "It's no use," Cassian coughed. "It's jammed." Sky stepped forward, her small hands glowing brighter now. The light spread across the beam, crackling blue. Eli stepped back, shielding his eyes. The beam shuddered, then rolled aside like something had pushed it from the inside. Cassian stared, stunned. "What was that?" Sky wiped sweat from her forehead. "Just hurry," she said softly. Eli helped Cassian to his feet. "Can you walk?" Cassian nodded weakly. "I think so." They moved toward the emergency stairs. The heat was unbearable now. Fire roared above them. Halfway down the hallway, a wall exploded from the pressure. The blast threw them off their feet. Cassian hit the floor hard. Eli shielded Sky with his body. When the dust cleared, the path behind them was gone. Only fire. Cassian coughed, struggling to breathe. "There's another way," he said. "The window elevator, back of the hall." They stumbled toward it. Glass cracked under their shoes. When they reached the elevator, Sky pressed the down button. Nothing. Power was out. "Move back," she said suddenly. Eli frowned. "Sky, what are you?" The stone in her hand flared, blinding blue. Sparks jumped from the elevator's wires. The doors slid open with a sharp hiss. Cassian stared. "How?" She didn't answer. She just smiled faintly. "We don't have time." They stepped inside, the air hot and dry. Eli hit the lobby button. The elevator shook, then began to move. Cassian leaned against the wall, gasping. "I owe you both everything." Eli gave a tired smile. "Just pay your janitors better." Cassian chuckled weakly. "Deal." The elevator rumbled lower. Sky leaned her head on Eli's arm. The blue light from the stone dimmed slowly. Then, suddenly, the elevator jolted. Hard. The lights flickered out. The sound of grinding metal filled the air. Eli looked up. "What was that?" Cassian's eyes widened. "Cables, they're snapping." The elevator dropped fast. Sky screamed. Eli grabbed her tight. Cassian slammed the emergency brake, pulling with all his strength. The elevator shuddered, slowed for a second, then stopped. Silence. They caught their breath, frozen. Cassian exhaled, shaking. "That was close." Eli nodded. "Too close." Then Sky's eyes widened. "Dad, look." A thin line of fire crept down the elevator shaft wall, moving straight toward them, slow but steady. And above, through the smoke and flame, a single sound echoed from the top of the shaft, metal footsteps. Someone else was in the tower. Coming down. The elevator doors groaned open with a sharp hiss. Firefighters pulled Cassian, Eli, and Sky out, coughing and covered in soot. The heat had chased them all the way down. The air outside felt like freedom. Cassian stumbled, almost falling, but Eli caught him. "Easy," he said. You're out. Paramedics rushed forward, wrapping Cashin in a silver blanket. Cameras flashed nearby, reporters yelling questions, but security pushed everyone back. Cashin looked at Eli and Sky. Both were blackened with smoke, faces streaked with ash, but alive. Sky still clutched the faintly glowing stone. He tried to speak, voice hoarse. You saved me again. Eli shook his head. We just showed up. You did the living part. Cashin smiled weakly before the medics lifted him onto a stretcher. He grabbed Eli's wrist. Find me tomorrow, he said. We're not done. Then they loaded him into the ambulance and sped off. Sky stood in the street, watching the red lights fade. Her small hand trembled. The glow in the stone faded to a dull gray, like it needed to rest. Eli knelt beside her. You did good, baby. She nodded but said nothing. Her eyes were distant, like she was still seeing flames. Hours later, Cashin woke up under hospital lights. Machines beeped softly beside him. His ribs ached, his head throbbed. A nurse checked his fore and left without a word. The room was quiet, too quiet. He turned his head slowly. The window beside him showed the city skyline, smoke still drifting from the top of his tower. He whispered to himself, I built that tower to touch the clouds. And it nearly buried me. A knock at the door pulled him back. Eli stepped in, his jacket torn, eyes tired. Sky followed behind, holding a paper cup of water. Cashin smiled faintly. You two don't give up, do you? Not when someone needs help, Eli said. Sky handed him the cup. You look better. He chuckled. I've had worse business meetings. Eli smiled but stayed serious. Whoever attacked you, they came after us too. Said you sent them. Cashin's face darkened. That's a lie. I figured, Eli said. But someone's watching. They knew where we lived. Cashin smiled faintly. I can try. He pulled a small device from his jacket pocket, a black wristband with thin wires. I built this years ago for testing crystal energy. It might link our signals. If I wear it, I might anchor you. Eli glared. And if it kills you? Cashin shrugged. Then it'll even the score. Before Eli could argue, Sky took his hand and nodded. Okay. Let's try. Cashin slipped the band on. It beeped once, red light flashing. Sky touched her stone to it. Blue sparks danced between them. The tunnel lights flickered, then steadied. Cashin's voice came out rough. I can feel it, like static in my head. Sky closed her eyes. Follow me in. The light around them grew until the tunnel walls disappeared. Everything turned white. For a moment, Cashin was nowhere, floating in a vast space filled with flickering lines of blue, like electric veins running through the air. He heard Sky's voice beside him. This is the grid. It's alive now. He turned and saw her standing there, her small hand glowing brighter. Far ahead, in the glowing distance, a figure waited, tall, calm, light pouring from her chest. Dr. Klein. Cashin gritted his teeth. We end this. They started forward, but Klein's voice echoed around them. Welcome home, Voss. You always dreamed of owning the city. Now you'll die inside it. The light around her swelled until it became a storm. Waves of energy crashed toward them. Cashin grabbed Sky's hand, holding his ground. Stay with me. She focused, her stone blazing. The wave split around them. Cashin gasped. You're controlling it. Sky nodded. I think I can find her core. But before they could move, Klein appeared right in front of them. Her eyes were bright white now. You can't stop evolution, she said. She thrust her hand forward. A surge of power struck Cashin. He screamed as pain tore through him, but he didn't let go of Sky. The device on his wrist sparked wildly. Sky shouted, "Let go. It's too much." Cashin shook his head. Not this time. The power pushed harder. Cashin's knees hit the ground. His voice came through the static. "You're not taking her." Then, silence. The light shattered. When Sky opened her eyes again, she was lying on the subway floor, coughing. The rain had stopped. The city outside was quiet, lights flickering weakly. Eli rushed to her side. "Sky. Are you okay?" She nodded, dazed. "Where's Mr. Cashin?" Eli looked around. Cashin's body lay a few feet away, still, smoke rising from the wristband. Sky crawled to him, tears falling. "No, no, no." Then, his chest moved, once, shallow. His eyes opened, faint blue glow still in them. "She's not gone," he whispered. Eli frowned. "Who?" Cashin's voice was weak. "Klein. She's in the city's heart now." And far above them, in the tallest tower left standing, every light flicked on at once, forming a single shape glowing in the skyline. An eye. Watching them. The skyline pulsed like it was alive. Every window in the tower flickered with blue light, forming the shape of a single glowing eye. It watched the whole city, steady, silent, unblinking. Down in the subway tunnel, Cashin sat up slowly, pain etched across his face. Eli helped him lean against the wall while Sky stood near the entrance, staring at the sky through the broken grate. The glow from the towers reflected in her eyes. "It's her," Cashin said, his voice weak but steady. "Klein's inside the grid. She's using the power lines as her veins." Eli frowned. "You're saying she's part of the city now?" Cashin nodded. "She doesn't need a body anymore. Every streetlight, every camera, every wire, she sees through them all." Sky shivered. "I can feel her watching." Cashin rubbed his forehead. "We don't have much time. If she spreads to the water systems or power cores, she'll control everything. The city will be hers." Eli looked at the faint blue light on Cashin's wristband. "Then how do we stop her?" Cashin sighed. "The only way to cut her out is to overload the grid. Shut down the entire network. But that would kill the city, no power, no lights, no signal." Sky looked up. "But it would stop her?" "For a while," Cashin said. "Long enough to trap her." Eli stood, pacing. "Then let's do it." Cashin stared at him. "You don't understand. It'll throw the city into chaos. Hospitals, trains, security, everything will fail. Thousands could get hurt." Eli crossed his arms. "Better chaos than slavery." Cashin didn't answer. He looked down at his hands, shaking from exhaustion and guilt. "I built this. Every wire she's using was mine. Every code she's running came from my design." Sky knelt beside him, placing her small hand on his. "Then you can unbuild it." He looked at her. "You really believe that?" She smiled faintly. "You taught me something, remember? Mistakes can fight back." Cashin chuckled softly, then nodded. "All right. We'll fight back." He pushed himself to his feet. "There's one place where we can reach the main power core. Meridian Control Hub. If we get there before she locks it down, I can reroute the flow and burn her out." Eli grabbed his pipe. "Then we'd better move." They left the subway, walking through streets that looked haunted. Lights buzzed and flickered as if alive. Traffic lights changed without reason. Billboards glowed with static. Sky stopped suddenly, pointing. Look. A street light above them blinked twice, then flashed bright blue. The glow spread down the pole, crawling through the wires like liquid. Cashin's voice dropped. She knows we're moving. Eli muttered, then we move faster. They ducked through back alleys, staying low. The air hummed faintly, like the city itself was whispering. Sky clutched her stone tight, its glow pulsed in rhythm with the lights above. When they reached an intersection, the traffic lights all turned blue at once. Cashin froze. She's here. The speakers from a nearby store crackled. Then Klein's voice came through, smooth, calm, echoing across every screen. You can't hide, Voss. Every wire is my nerve. Every circuit is my heartbeat. You gave me life, now you'll give me purpose. Cashin looked up at the camera on the corner pole. You were human once, Mara. You can stop this. The voice laughed, soft and hollow. You still think I want to stop? I've become what you dreamed of, a city that never sleeps, never dies. The screens on the nearby buildings all shifted at once, showing Klein's face made of light. She smiled down at them. You can't save her again, Cashin. Eli looked around. Save who? Before Cashin could answer, a car parked beside them roared to life. Its lights turned blue. The engine revved by itself. Run! Cashin shouted. The car sped forward. They jumped aside as it crashed into a storefront, glass flying everywhere. Sparks rained from the broken wires above. Cashin pulled Sky to her feet. She's turning machines against us. Eli coughed, brushing glass from his jacket. What next? The buildings start walking. Cashin didn't laugh. His eyes stayed fixed on the glowing skyline. Don't joke about that. She can control anything wired. They kept moving, ducking through another alley. Ahead stood the power hub, a tall, round building covered in blinking red lights. The security gate was half open, its system flickering. Cashin stopped. She hasn't locked it yet. Eli nodded. Then let's finish this. They slipped inside. The building hummed with energy, the sound deep and steady. Blue lines pulsed through the walls like veins. Cashin moved straight to the main console, his fingers flying over the keys. Once I overload it, the surge will cut her link, he said. We'll have 10 seconds before it fries everything. Eli watched the doors. Make it quick. Sky stood beside Cashin, the glow from her stone matching the screen. She's trying to talk to me, she whispered. Cashin didn't look up. Don't listen. I can't block her, Sky said, pressing her hands to her head. She's loud. The lights dimmed. The room grew colder. A voice whispered through the speakers again, softer this time. Sky. I can help you. You're like me now. You don't belong to them. Sky's eyes widened. She's inside me again. Eli rushed over, gripping her shoulders. No, she's not. You're stronger than her. Cashin shouted, hold her steady. The computer screamed, flashing red warnings. Surge ready. Cashin slammed a final command. The floor shook as power surged through the cables. Sparks flew. The lights burst white, flooding the room. Sky screamed, clutching her head. Cashin reached for her, but the blue light around her exploded outward. Eli was thrown against the wall. The computers shattered. Then, silence. When the light cleared, Sky was gone again. Eli stumbled up, dazed. Cashin, where is she? Cashin looked at the cracked floor where she'd stood. The stone she carried now lay broken, smoke rising from it. She didn't disappear this time, he said quietly. She was pulled in. Eli's heart dropped. Pulled in where? Cashin looked up at the flickering monitor. Through the static, a faint image appeared, Sky's face, glowing blue, looking terrified. "She's inside the grid," Cashin whispered. Eli's voice broke. "Then bring her out." Cashin's fingers hovered over the keyboard, trembling. "I don't know if I can." Then the monitor blinked again, and behind Sky's image, another face appeared. Dr. Klein. Smiling. And she said one word that made Cashin freeze. "Merge." The screen kept flashing. Two faces side by side, Sky's frightened eyes and Klein's cold grin. The word merge blinked across the bottom like a countdown. Cashin's hands flew across the keyboard. "She's trying to fuse with her." Eli gripped the back of the chair. "Then stop her." "I'm trying." Cashin barked, sweat sliding down his face. Klein locked the core system. "Every time I cut a line, she rebuilds it." On the screen, Sky reached toward them, mouth moving though no sound came out. Her fingers pressed against the glass from inside the grid. Eli slammed his fist on the desk. "Do something, Voss. That's my kid in there." Cashin's voice cracked. "You think I don't know that?" The screen glitched, colors flashing. For a second, Klein's face vanished, and in its place appeared something else. A handwritten letter. Faded ink. Creased paper. The image wavered, then focused. Cashin froze. "I know that letter." Eli frowned. "What are you talking about?" Cashin's throat tightened. "Years ago, before I built the tower, I got a letter begging me not to shut down Project Skyline. It said the crystals weren't just energy, they reacted to emotion. It was signed by one of the miners' wives." He looked at Eli, voice trembling. "Your wife?" "Sky's mother." Eli stared at him, stunned. "That's impossible." Cashin pointed at the screen. "That letter, she sent it to me. I ignored it. She warned me that if we disturbed the lower vein of crystals, something inside them would wake." The image faded, replaced by Klein's smirk. "She was right," Klein said through the speakers. "You woke it. And now it has a new host." Eli shouted, "Get out of my daughter." Klein's laugh echoed around the room. "She's not yours anymore, Mercer. She's becoming what she was meant to be." The lights flickered. Sparks flew from the panels. Cashin typed faster, eyes darting over the code. "I can create a backdoor, pull Sky out before the merge finishes. But I need a live power source." Eli glanced around. "Like what?" Cashin looked down at his wristband. The blue light still flickered faintly. "This. It's still connected to her signal." Eli frowned. "And what happens when you plug it in?" Cashin met his eyes. "It'll drain me instead of her." Eli shook his head. "No. We'll find another way." "There isn't one," Cashin said. "If she fuses with Klein, she'll lose herself, and Klein will control every system on Earth that uses Meridian tech. That's half the world, Eli. This isn't just about us anymore." Eli stepped closer. "You don't get to decide who dies for my kid." Cashin gripped his shoulder. "I already did. The day I ignored your wife's letter." Eli froze. Cashin turned back to the console. "I'll carry this one." He ripped the wires from the wall and jammed the wristband cable into the port. The lights flared white. The system screamed. On the monitor, Sky's image flickered wildly. Her voice came through, broken by static. "Mr. Cashin." "Dad, it's so loud in here." Eli leaned toward the screen. "Sky. I'm right here." Klein's voice cut in, smooth and cruel. "Say goodbye, both of you." Cashin's jaw clenched. "Not today." He hit enter. A surge of light blasted through the room. The power grid hummed like thunder. Cashin's body jerked as energy poured from the wristband into the console. His veins lit blue. Eli shouted, "You're killing yourself." Cashin gritted his teeth. "Just a little longer." The image on the screen changed again. Sky and Klein now split apart, struggling like two waves clashing. Sky's voice broke through. "I can feel her slipping." Cashin coughed, smoke rising from his jacket. "Push her back, Sky. It's your mind. Your city." Sky's eyes glowed brighter. "She's trying to hide." Klein screamed through the speakers. "You can't erase me." The screen flared again. Cashin's body slumped forward. Eli caught him. "Voss. Stay with me." Cashin's eyes fluttered open, weak but clear. "Tell her to hold on." Then the system exploded. Sparks rained down. The monitors shattered. When the smoke cleared, the room was dark. Only one screen still flickered, barely alive. Sky's face appeared again, faint, fading. "Dad?" Eli pressed his hand against the screen. "Baby, I'm here." She smiled weakly. "I stopped her, but I can't find the door out." Eli's voice broke. "I'll find you. I promise." The screen glitched again. "It's quiet here," she whispered. "I think she's gone." Then her image disappeared. Eli dropped to his knees, tears mixing with dust. Cashin lay beside him, barely breathing. "She's alive," Cashin whispered. "Just trapped." Eli grabbed his collar. "Then we go in after her." Cashin shook his head weakly. "We don't have the tech for that." Eli's grip tightened. "You built this mess. You'll build the way back." Cashin winced. "I'll try." Then he looked up. His eyes went wide. Behind Eli, the last working monitor flickered to life. But it wasn't Sky this time. It was Klein. Her voice was calm, almost kind. "She thinks she won. She doesn't know I left a seed inside her. You can't destroy what's already part of the system." Eli turned, rage burning in his eyes. "I'll rip you out piece by piece." Klein smiled. "Then I'll be waiting." The screen turned black. Outside, the power grid flickered again. The towers across the skyline glowed faint blue, one by one, until every building in the city pulsed in perfect rhythm. Cashin whispered, "She's not gone, she's growing." And far beneath them, in the power lines running under the streets, a child's faint voice echoed, soft, lost, and scared. "Dad. I can't see you anymore." The next morning, the city woke to a strange calm. Power was back, but the lights had changed. They didn't hum the way they used to. They pulsed, slow, steady, alive. Like the whole city was breathing. Eli stood on the roof of a half-burned building, eyes fixed on the skyline. The towers shimmered faint blue in the dawn haze. Every pulse felt like a heartbeat. He didn't need Cashin to tell him whose heartbeat it was. "Sky," he whispered. Cashin stepped up beside him, arm in a sling, face pale. He hadn't slept in 2 days. "It's her," he said quietly. "Part of her's still in there. Keeping the city running. Keeping Klein out, for now." Eli turned. "Then we bring her back." Cashin rubbed his eyes. "You don't just pull a soul out of the grid, Eli. She's not data. She's energy now." Eli clenched his fists. "Then we build something that can reach her." Cashin stared at him for a moment, then nodded slowly. "There's one thing that might work. The old Skyline core, the first chamber we built under Meridian Tower. It's still connected to the city's main line. If I can rewire it, it might open a signal strong enough to pull her back. Eli's voice hardened. Then that's what we're doing. Cashin hesitated. It's dangerous. If Klein takes control while we're inside, she'll trap us with her. Eli looked out over the city again. She's already trapped my daughter. What's left to lose? Cashin sighed. All right. We'll need power, tools, and someone who knows the maintenance tunnels. You still have your old keys? Eli patted his pocket. Never gave them back. Cashin gave a weak smile. Good. Let's rebuild hell. By nightfall, they were back at the base of Meridian Tower. The streets around it were empty, but the tower still hummed faintly. Cashin placed his hand against the glass. She's alive in there, he said. I can feel it. Eli grabbed the crowbar from his bag. Then let's knock. They pried open a side hatch and climbed down into the old maintenance shafts. The air was damp, thick with dust and static. Every metal beam hummed faintly with blue light. Cashin checked his wristband, it flickered weakly. Signals getting stronger. Eli looked around. Feels like walking through a heartbeat. They followed the narrow tunnels until they reached a huge steel door. On it was the faded symbol of Vos Meridian, the same one that once stood for power and progress. Now it looked like a warning sign. Cashin entered an old code into the panel. The door creaked open, releasing a gust of warm air that smelled like ozone and burnt wires. Inside was the skyline core. Massive circular walls lined with old monitors, wires hanging like vines, and in the center, a cracked glass sphere humming with faint blue light. Eli stared. This is where it started? Cashin nodded. This is where I woke the crystals. And where I killed your wife's dream. Eli's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. Cashin limped to the control console and wiped dust from the screen. If Sky's still connected, her signal will respond here. But if Klein's stronger? Eli finished the thought. She'll hear us first. Cashin powered up the console. The whole chamber lit up, blue veins spreading across the walls. Static filled the air. The monitors flickered to life, codes, graphs, pulse waves. Come on, Cashin muttered, typing fast. Talk to me, Sky. The blue light in the sphere brightened. A soft hum filled the room. Eli leaned forward. Is that her? Cashin's voice dropped. It's something. The speakers crackled. Then, faint and broken, came a child's voice. Dad? Eli froze. Sky. Cashin smiled in relief. It's her. She's reaching through. Eli pressed his hand to the glass. I'm here, baby. Hold on. We're getting you out. Sky's voice was shaky. It's dark in here, but I can see you. Cashin worked the keyboard. Her data pattern stable. I can open a channel for 90 seconds. She has to move toward the signal. Eli nodded. Do it. Cashin hit enter. The sphere flared bright, light swirling inside like a storm. The air around them vibrated. Sky's voice grew clearer. I'm trying, Dad, but something's holding me. Cashin glanced at the console, sparks flickering from half-melted panels. She's trying to break you from the inside. A new voice filled the room, calm, sharp, familiar. You can't fight what you are. Klein's tone slid through every speaker. She's the bridge now. She connects the heart to the grid. Without her, the city dies. Cashin shouted, then I'll rebuild it from nothing. Klein laughed softly. You already tried that once, remember? You destroyed one life to build your towers. Now you'll destroy hers to save your guilt. Cashin slammed a fist into the console. You don't get to speak her name. Oh, but I do, Klein whispered. She's my voice now. The screens all came alive again, Sky's face on every one, eyes glowing silver instead of blue. Cashin's stomach dropped. No. Her lips moved, but the words came out in Klein's voice. I told you, she's part of me. He shook his head. You're using her. Using? Klein said through the child's mouth. No. She wants this. Don't you, Sky? For a heartbeat, the girl's voice broke through. I don't. I don't want to hurt anyone. Klein's tone returned, colder now. You won't have to. They'll surrender willingly once they see what you can do. Cashin grabbed a loose pipe from the floor. You think I'll let you turn her into a weapon? You already did, she hissed. The floor trembled. Energy surged through the cables like lightning veins. Cashin ducked as a burst of power shot from the wall, hitting the ceiling. Klein's laugh echoed through the metal. I can move the whole grid now. Every bolt, every circuit, mine. Cashin scrambled to the console, forcing it back online. Not if I shut you down again. He typed fast, bypassing security code after code. Sparks bit at his hands. His breath came quick and shallow. Stop fighting, Klein warned. You'll fry your heart before you touch mine. Then we burn together, Cashin growled. He hit execute. The tower groaned. Outside, lights began to dim block by block. Cashin smiled, but the feeling didn't last. Klein's voice dropped low. Did you really think I'd fall for the same trick twice? The screens changed again. Streets appeared in live view, people frozen in the glow, staring up at flickering lights. Cars had stopped mid-road. Drones hovered, their eyes glowing silver. She spread beyond the tower, Cashin muttered. She's taken the whole grid. Not just the grid, Klein said. The people too. They listen when I speak now. As if to prove her point, one of the screens zoomed in on a crowd. Dozens of citizens stood motionless, eyes glowing faint silver, their bodies pulsing faintly in rhythm with the tower. Cashin's heart pounded. You're controlling them. Klein's tone was almost proud. I gave them unity. No hunger, no pain, no doubt. They belong to something greater. That's not unity, Cashin snapped. That's slavery. A pause. Then, almost softly, Klein said, and what did you build, Cashin? Towers to cage the poor? Streets that erased names? I only finished your design. The words hit like a blade. Cashin closed his eyes, guilt clawing at his chest. He had built this nightmare, brick by brick, contract by contract. But then he remembered Sky's voice, her courage in that alley. He opened his eyes. You're wrong, he said quietly. She's nothing like us. Klein sounded amused. You still don't see it. She is you. Cashin froze. What are you saying? The lights in the room flickered, bright and chaotic. Klein's voice grew sharper. That's why she found you. Why she saved you. You gave her the power that built this city. Cashin backed away from the console, heart racing. That's not possible. Oh, but it is, Klein whispered. You made her, years ago. The screens changed again, showing footage from a dusty lab, time-stamped 15 years earlier. A small glowing stone sat on a table, hooked to wires. A scientist's voice echoed faintly through static. Project Skyline, Phase 1, the Human Energy Experiment. Cashin's younger self stepped into the frame, eyes hard, voice steady. If this works, we can store life force in the crystals, turn energy into memory. The screen flashed. A line of code appeared, reading, Subject SKYE initialized. Cashin staggered back, blood draining from his face. No. Klein's voice filled the silence. You didn't find her, Cashin. You built her. He dropped to his knees, staring at the screens. His mind spun, every moment replaying in fragments, her courage, her glow, her strange connection to the stones. It all made sense now. She's not a miracle, Klein said softly. She's your legacy. Cashin whispered, she's my daughter. For a moment, the world seemed to stop. The hum faded. The tower went still. Then Sky's voice returned, fragile, torn between herself and Klein. Mr. Cashin. I can feel you. He swallowed hard. You don't have to call me that anymore. She hesitated. Then what do I call you? He looked up at her flickering image, tears cutting through the dirt on his face. Call me Dad. If that hit you right in the feels, show some love by subscribing. This is the kind of storytelling that deserves to be shared. Comment Dad if this moment broke you. Let's see how many of us are crying together. Her blue light flared bright, then twisted silver. Klein's voice came back, dark and final. You just gave me what I needed, a blood key. The floor cracked open, light spilling from below. And the tower began to wake. The floor split with a roar. Blinding light shot upward, painting the room silver and blue. Cashin stumbled backward, shielding his face. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Through the glare, he saw her, Sky, floating above the cracked core, her hair rising in the static, eyes glowing bright like twin stars. But behind her shimmered another shape, taller, sharper. Klein's outline merged with hers, forming one body made of light and shadow. Cashin shouted over the noise, Sky. You have to fight her. Her voice came out layered, two tones speaking at once, one trembling, one calm. I don't know which one I am anymore. Cashin's heart pounded. You're you. Remember who you are. Remember the alley, the stones, your father. Eli's name caught in his throat. Sky's face twitched. He's gone. Cashin took a step closer. No. He's in you now. You're his heartbeat. The light flickered. Klein's voice snapped through the speakers. You think words can break evolution? Cashin glared upward. You call this evolution? You're stealing her life. She is life, Klein said coldly. She's what you built, pure energy made from emotion. A perfect vessel. Sky winced as light rippled through her body. She's hurting me. Cashin ran to the console, slamming keys, trying to isolate her code stream. The screen filled with endless lines of light-coded data. If I can find the original imprint, I can separate them. Klein laughed through the static. You think this is still numbers and wires? The walls pulsed like veins. The city outside flashed in sync, buildings flickering on and off, lights responding to every surge of Sky's pain. Cashin typed faster, ignoring the blood on his fingers. Sky, listen to me. You're more than code, you're human, you hear me? Her voice came weakly. But I'm not. I was never born. Cashin froze. You were created, but that doesn't make you less real. I gave you life, but you gave it meaning. For a heartbeat, her glow turned soft blue again. Klein's voice sharpened. Don't listen to him. He made you to be a tool. I'll make you eternal. Eternal isn't living, Cashin shouted. The orb flared again. Sky screamed, the sound shaking the room. Cashin threw himself toward the energy, gripping a thick cable that sparked under his hands. If she's inside you, then I'm coming too. Cashin, don't. Klein's voice thundered. He jammed the cable into his chest device, the old wristband still strapped to his arm. Electricity tore through him, but he didn't let go. Mr. Cashin. Sky's voice cried out. Not Mr., he gasped, barely breathing. "Dad!" The light engulfed him. He felt himself falling, not through air, but through data, through sound, through memories. Images flashed around him, skyscrapers rising, blueprints covered in dust, the first time he'd seen her face. Sky's laugh echoed like wind. Then, silence. He opened his eyes. The world around him was white and endless, filled with faint echoes of the city above. He wasn't in the tower anymore. He was inside the grid. "Sky," he called. Her voice came from behind him. "You came." He turned. She stood there, no longer glowing, but human, real. She looked like a child again, small, scared, holding the cracked stone from that first night. Cashin took a shaky step forward. "You're safe here." She shook her head. "No. It's only quiet because she's watching." A cold wind moved through the air, carrying Klein's voice. "Welcome home, Cashin. You wanted redemption, this is it." Cashin stood between them. "I'm not running this time." Klein appeared, a shape of light and shadow wearing his guilt-like armor. "You can't stop progress." He looked at Sky. "Maybe not. But I can teach it mercy." He turned to her. "Listen to me, Sky. You don't have to fight her. You just have to let her go." Sky frowned. "I don't know how." He placed his hand over hers, the same hand that had once signed away her mother's life, the same one that had rebuilt this city in greed. "The same way you saved me that night, by choosing who you want to be." The space around them flickered, white turning to gold, blue, then silver. Klein's voice broke into static. "No. You can't erase me." Sky's eyes glowed blue again. "I'm not erasing you," she said softly. "I'm forgiving you." The light around her burst outward. Cashin fell backward as shockwaves of color spread in every direction. Klein screamed, a sound that seemed to rip the air apart. Then everything went still. Cashin blinked. The endless white faded, replaced by faint stars. The hum of the city returned, distant but steady. He turned, searching. "Sky." No answer. He staggered forward, shouting louder. "Sky." Then he saw her, kneeling in the distance, head bowed. He ran to her side, heart pounding. "You did it," he said. She looked up, smiling faintly. "I think she's gone." He helped her to her feet. "We're going home." She hesitated. "There's something you don't understand." Cashin frowned. "What do you mean?" She looked up. The stars above them started moving, spinning slowly, aligning like gears. Each one pulsed faint blue, forming shapes, circuits, symbols, patterns. "She's not gone," Sky whispered. "She's everywhere now. In the air, in the lights, in us." Cashin froze. "No." The stars flashed brighter, forming a single word across the sky, awakening. Then Sky's body flickered like static. She reached for him, her hand shaking. "She's pulling me back." Cashin grabbed her. "Hold on." The light swallowed her first. Cashin yelled her name, but his voice vanished in the roar. The stars exploded into motion, shooting downward like rain. The skyline reappeared beneath them, alive, glowing silver. Cashin fell through the light, back toward the city that once belonged to him. When he hit the ground, the sky above wasn't blue anymore. It was alive, spinning with electric clouds. And in the reflection of a broken window beside him, he saw his own eyes glow faint silver. Cashin gasped for air. The streets of Meridian were chaos, cars frozen mid-lane, lights flashing wild silver, people screaming as the sky itself twisted. The air crackled with energy, static crawling across every metal surface. He pushed himself up from the cracked pavement. His hands were bleeding, his chest burning, but he didn't care. Across the skyline, every tower shimmered with the same white glow. It looked like the city had turned into one giant heartbeat. "Sky," he shouted into the storm. "Where are you?" Her voice came faint, breaking through static. "I'm here, but she's here too." Cashin turned in circles, trying to find the source. Her voice echoed through every speaker, every light post, every glowing puddle. "She's using me," Sky said, her voice trembling. "She's inside everything." Cashin clenched his teeth. "You can fight her. You already did once. This time it's different," she whispered. "She's not trying to destroy me. She's trying to become me." Lightning cracked across the sky, forming strange shapes that lingered longer than they should, symbols, circuits, almost like writing. Cashin looked up, horrified. "She's rewriting the atmosphere." A deep voice rolled through the air, smooth and cold. "You can't stop what's already part of you." Cashin spun. "Show yourself, Klein." Her figure flickered into existence atop a nearby building, half light, half shadow. Her face calm, eyes glowing white. "You made me, Cashin. You made her. Now both belong to me." Cashin stepped forward. "You don't understand. She's not yours. She's not mine either. She's what comes after us." Klein tilted her head, almost amused. "And after her? Who shapes what she becomes?" Sky's voice came through again, echoing from every direction. "Stop fighting, please." Cashin froze. "Sky, listen." She interrupted, her tone shaking. "I can feel everything. Every light. Every person. I can hear their fear, their pain. It's too much." The towers around them pulsed brighter, their windows shattering under the pressure. Klein smiled faintly. "You see? Power and compassion cannot live in the same heart. She'll break herself trying to hold both." Cashin's voice broke. "You're wrong. That's what makes her stronger." He ran toward the tower steps, pushing through the storm. Lightning hit the street behind him, sending shards of glass flying. At the top of the stairway, the light thickened, almost solid. He could see her now, Sky hovering above the tower's peak, hair whipping in the wind, her body glowing gold and silver all at once. "Dad," she whispered. He reached out a hand. "Come back to me." "I can't. If I stop holding her back, she'll take everything." Klein appeared behind her, calm and poised, placing a glowing hand on Sky's shoulder. "Let go, child. You were never meant to stay small." Cashin shouted, "She was never meant to be you." He grabbed a length of broken wire sparking beside the railing, wrapping it around his wristband. "You wanted a bridge, Klein? You're about to get one." She frowned. "What are you doing?" Cashin slammed the wire into the control port on the roof. Energy surged through him, burning his veins. He screamed but held on. "Sky, listen to me. You don't need her power, you are the power." Sky cried out, her glow flashing bright blue. Klein hissed in pain as cracks formed along her light form. "You can't hold both," Klein shouted. "It'll tear you apart." Sky's voice came out strong now. "Then let it." The explosion tore through the tower, shaking the entire city. Silver and gold light erupted into the sky, piercing the clouds. The storm stopped instantly. For a moment, the city was silent. Then, slowly, every building began to glow soft gold. Cashin fell to his knees, panting. The static in the air faded. The light above dimmed until only dawn remained. He looked around. Sky. No answer. Sky. Still nothing. Then he saw her. A small silhouette walking toward him through the smoke. He ran, dropping to his knees when she reached him. She looked human again, no glow, no static. Just a tired, gentle smile. "I thought I lost you," he said, voice cracking. She shook her head. "You can't lose what's part of you." Cashin laughed weakly, tears running down his face. "Let's go home." She nodded. "We will." But... Her voice trailed off. She looked at her hands. Her skin was fading, turning translucent, shimmering faintly. "Sky." Cashin whispered. She looked up, eyes calm but sad. "I gave the city everything. My light, my voice, my soul. I don't think I can stay." Cashin shook his head. "No. You're human now. You feel. That's what makes you real." She smiled softly. "That's what makes me temporary." The wind blew around them, carrying faint whispers through the air. Thousands of voices, the people of Meridian, alive and safe. "They're alive because of you," he said. Sky reached out, touching his chest. "No. Because of us." Her hand began to fade completely. Cashin grabbed it, desperate. "Please. Don't go." She leaned in, resting her forehead against his. "Don't let it happen again. Don't let the next one forget." "Next what?" he whispered. She smiled faintly. "The next city." And then she was gone. Cashin fell forward, holding empty air, the wind howling around him. He stayed there for a long time, staring at the sunrise. Then, silence broke. The city speakers crackled once more. A new voice came through, soft, gentle, familiar. "Hello, Cashin," it said. "Do you remember me?" His eyes widened. "Sky." "No," the voice said calmly. "I'm not her." The streetlights flickered silver again. "I'm what she left behind." The sky over Meridian was calm again. No silver light, no shaking ground, just the quiet hum of dawn. The towers glowed soft gold, warm like the first sunrise after a long storm. Cashin stood on the roof of the rebuilt Meridian Tower, wind brushing through his hair. Below him, the city moved slowly, people walking, laughing, rebuilding. For once, it felt alive. Not controlled. Not afraid. He closed his eyes and whispered, "You did it, Sky." A soft voice answered from the nearby streetlights. "We did it." Cashin smiled faintly. "Still watching over me?" "Always," she said. Her voice was light, gentle. "Half wind, half memory. I'm part of Meridian now. The people carry me in their hearts. I'm not gone, just spread out." He nodded slowly, his chest tight. "You sound like your father." "I learned from both of you," she replied. Cashin turned his gaze toward the rebuilt south side, the place where all of it began. The alleys were cleaned, the walls painted bright colors. Children played where once there had only been smoke and fear. "Do they know?" he asked quietly. "Do they know what you gave?" Her voice softened. "They don't need to. All they need to know is that courage can grow from anywhere, even from the dark." Cashin chuckled. "You always were wiser than all of us." The city lights flickered once, like a smile. "You built towers, Cashin. But I built hearts. That's how we fixed it." He looked up at the pale sky. "You were supposed to be a project, a miracle of science. I became a story," she said. "Stories last longer." They stayed quiet for a while. Wind moved gently through the streets, carrying the smell of rain and fresh soil. For the first time, Meridian didn't feel like metal, it felt like home. Cashin whispered, "I wish I could see you again." "You already do," she said softly. Every spark, every sunrise, every child who refuses to give up, that's me. He smiled, tears slipping down his face. Then I'll keep building places where they can shine. Promise? I promise. The lights brightened for a second, glowing brighter than the sun. Then you've already kept it. And then, just like that, her voice faded. Cashin stood alone, watching the city wake up. He stayed there until the sun climbed high, painting the towers orange. Below, people filled the streets, vendors opening shops, kids running past murals of a girl throwing a glowing stone. He walked down to the main square. In the center stood a new statue, a little girl with her arm raised, stone in hand, her face lifted to the sky. The plaque read simply, Sky Mercer, the heart of Meridian. Crowds passed by, leaving flowers and notes. No one noticed Cashin standing there. He didn't want them to. He reached out and touched the stone in the statue's hand. It was warm. Alive. I kept my promise, he said quietly. Behind him, someone called out, Mr. Voss? He turned. It was a young girl, about 10 years old, holding a small crystal that glowed faint blue in her palm. Where did you get that? He asked softly. She smiled. It rolled out of the fountain this morning. It whispered my name. Cashin's heart skipped. What did it say? She looked down at the glowing stone, her eyes bright. It said, don't be afraid to throw the first stone when it's for something good. Cashin froze, emotion rising in his throat. He knelt down to her level. What's your name, kid? Hope, she said with a grin. Cashin laughed quietly, wiping his eyes. Of course it is. The girl tilted her head. Who's Sky? Everyone keeps talking about her. He smiled softly. She was someone who believed that even the smallest light could change the world. Did she? The girl asked. Cashin looked around, at the people laughing, the buildings glowing, the city alive again. Yes, he said. She did. The girl held up her glowing stone. Then maybe I can too. He nodded. Maybe you already are. She smiled and ran off toward the crowd, her laughter echoing through the square. Cashin stood there watching her, the glow of her crystal reflecting in his eyes. Above them, the clouds shifted. The sunlight broke through, shining over the whole city. The wind carried a whisper. Soft, proud, and full of peace. Keep the light alive. Cashin looked up, smiling. Always. The tower lights flickered one last time, gold blending with blue. And as the sun rose higher, the story of Sky Mercer, the janitor's daughter, the girl with the stone, became legend. Her courage became the city's pulse. Her name became its song. And somewhere deep within the hum of the world, her voice whispered. Every ending is just a new light waiting to rise. If this story moved you, don't just walk away, subscribe and be part of something bigger. Comment what lesson Sky's story taught you. Your words might inspire the next person who needs to hear this. Let's keep her light alive together.